in wherever.
Let's book it.
Okay. I think we're ready to rock here.
Rock and roll. Oh, we're recording?
We're doing it.
Perfect. Hey guys, welcome back to Embrace the Storm podcast. I'm here with my wonderful host, Jeremy, who is blending into the background a little bit.
Apparently.
What's going on, everybody? We are back. We're talking about hypocrisy tonight. Are you a hypocrite or not? And
You are.
yeah, you probably are, at least in some area. We were just talking about this off camera, kind of setting things up. You for sure are in some areas. But before we get there, Jared, how was work this week?
This week's been a good week. Kind of in real estate, you kind of get to know, you get the opportunity to know how to lose, right? And so, and you get to teach people how to lose as well, which is just equally as important. So, working with people, and this happened a few times this week, where writing an offer and you're like, you know what? They want to try something, and you're like, well, this isn't going to work, and you explain why, but you're like, but yeah, okay, that's where they're set on it. Okay, we'll do it your way. I'll show you.
Yeah.
Right? Lose. Do it again. Lose. I'm like, okay, now we're gonna do it my way, and we're gonna show you this is how we're gonna structure. They're like, oh, is that gonna make a difference? And I said 100%. Right? So now we're gonna teach them to win. Right? Lose a few, but and knowing that it makes it easier because it's not like when we're and competing offers is another thing, but you know you're gonna win and you know where you're gonna lose. Often you can have a good gauge, but. So yeah, that's been good. Life has been interesting as it is. It's you have your ups, you have your downs, you have your good, you have bad. Like I think that's just how it goes. This week's been a little bit tougher in some areas, but you know what? Nonetheless, you just keep putting it in, put in the work, showing up, doing it anyway. Whether your head's in it, your heart's in it, you show up, do the work, and you just do it, right? So
yeah, I think that sometimes you just show up no matter what. And I know the internet talks about that all the time, and it's become sort of a rah-rah movement, if you will. But I think sometimes, even if your heart's not in it or you don't want to do it, just getting up and doing it kind of builds that muscle to go, no matter how I'm feeling, I'm going to get up and do the thing. You know?
Yeah.
Now, granted, there are things, like we're going to talk about something new I'm into tonight.
All right.
But like I've had a couple of days this week where that just didn't happen because I wasn't feeling 100%. So there are times where like, you got to chill. But by and large, I think when you have stuff going on in life, just keep showing up.
Just keep showing up.
My week's kind of been the same. Lots of ups and downs. Lots of busy. But overall,
good busy or just distraction busy?
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
A little bit of both. It's just been a bit of a weird week. But hey, we're here. It's Friday. We're recording another podcast together. Spent probably too much time off camera talking about life and different things.
Well, we can't talk about everything on camera, so.
That's right. Maybe one day.
Yeah.
One day when we run our own offices or something.
Right.
But tonight, guys, so on this podcast, since we've started, we've preached, do hard things, get out of your comfort zone, shift your life 1% at a time, right? And so a few weeks ago, a friend of mine called me out, and I actually joined the gym. And it's super funny because I did a reel a while ago about like, I hate the gym, I don't go to the gym, it's intimidating, I don't know what half the crap there does. For the record, I still don't. But I joined a gym locally. I've been going in the mornings, and I am intimidated, but I go early enough, there's not lots of people. And all of the machines, and I don't know if this is universal because I've only ever been to this gym.
Yeah.
But all of the machines have little instructional pictures on them. And so you can sit there for a couple minutes, study these pictures, and figure it out. Like it's
have scan like QR codes?
They have that as well.
Okay.
But a lot of times I just take a couple minutes, look at the pictures. I'm like, got it. That's what this is for.
Yeah.
And I may use it in a future workout or I may not. Because I go to the gym with a plan. Like I already know the machines and the exercises and everything I'm going to do before I get there.
Yeah.
So I walk in, put my shoes on, and go to work. So I'm in and out in a certain amount of time kind of thing. Like I don't mess around.
Yeah.
Not like some of those guys you see. There's a couple of them who work out on random days while I'm there. They're the ones that'll like do a couple pumps, walk around a little bit, do a couple, those guys.
I'll be honest. I am one of those guys sometimes because I have, and the reason why they do it, there is an actual reason to it, is they lift extremely heavy,
Yeah.
and you take a 2-3 minute break, and then you get back at it. Do it
Okay,
again.
but are you flexing in the mirror
Well,
in the
no, not
interim?
quite.
Yeah.
No, I'm usually pacing up and down, right, and just getting my head going again, and then just go and lift
Yeah.
heavy, and then
Now I do some of that in between sets too.
yeah,
For sure.
flex in the
Like
mirror.
no flexing in the mirror. I got nothing to flex.
Oh no.
But like doing some heavy kettlebell stuff, yeah. I'll do my sets and then I got to take a break and
Yeah.
I kind of do circles and hang out for a little minute. But anyways, I tell you that because I tell you guys all the time here on the podcast, do hard things, move your life 1 degree at a time, embrace the storm, right?
Yeah.
And so I'd be a hypocrite if I got called out to join a gym and I didn't join a gym. I put my money where my mouth is, so to speak, and go, hey, I'm going to do hard things. I'm going to embrace those storms. I'm going to move my life 1%, whatever, whatever. And so I joined the gym scared.
Yeah.
There's no way better to put that, but I joined the gym scared. And like I said a couple minutes ago, it's still intimidating when I go. I pray on the way that there's not going to be a whole bunch of people when I get there.
Yeah.
Again, luckily I go early enough. That's not a thing because most people don't get up when I get up. And the couple of people that have been there, like we just kind of keep to ourselves.
Yeah.
So it's all good, but I'm doing it. And I'm using machines I didn't know what to do before. And I'm using weights I didn't have at home and doing things I wouldn't be able to do at home. So overall, it's been positive so far. But the point of this podcast is I would have been a hypocrite if I'd come on here and say, do things that scare you, and I didn't join the gym.
Well, and I think that goes to show a little bit more is now I can't say for all gyms and all cultures and such, but what I've found, and I used to be exactly the same. I hate going to the gym because people are going to look at me. I'm a big guy, right? Like I'm going to get
I walk funny and,
yeah,
I'm a little skinny.
right. But everybody's going to look at me because I'm the big guy. Like, oh my goodness, like
Yeah.
he's a big dude, right? So he's coming to the gym, right? In my head, it's yeah, they probably are.
Yeah.
Just, rightfully so. Okay, fine. I'm
Yeah.
a big guy coming to the gym, so fair enough, right?
Yeah.
But at some point, it's like, who cares, right?
Yeah.
So now, after showing up day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, year, and like showing up all the time.
Yeah.
Now, these people that I thought, oh, they're going to be judging me, I have relationships with a lot of them.
Yeah.
They
And maybe they did it first.
and maybe they did. For the most part, I haven't really felt much of it. It's more in my own head.
Isn't that a fact of life?
Yeah.
It's more in our head.
Yeah.
Right? Like people are so worried about themselves, they don't have time to think about you. And like I'm over here, what is it, the pot calling the kettle black, because I have the same problem.
Yeah.
I know it's mostly in my head, but I'm still in my head about it.
Yeah.
I'm still worried about what people are thinking of me. That's why I find the gym intimidating, because I don't know what things are and I can't lift 50-pound dumbbells and all these things,
And what if I fail? What if I do something dumb? Or what if I look dumb doing it, right?
Yeah.
And what if they don't? What if I get rejected or
Yeah.
feel that sense of rejection? Absolutely.
So I had that one morning. I'm going to tell this story. We'll maybe move on from the gym here, because not everybody on the podcast is going to be into gyms, which is fine. Maybe you should be. I was going to do a leg exercise, like on some sort of press. It did not work for my body. The way I had to sit on the machine and move my legs, I could not physically do it.
Right.
Not because of the weight or anything, just because the angle. I could not get in it. I could not push my legs in the right situation. And I was the only person in the gym when that was, which I was thankful for, because I had to roll off this thing. And I just kind of looked around, knew the camera saw me, but was like, move on to something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
So luckily there was a different machine with a similar exercise set that did work for me.
Right.
But I had that moment of, hopefully no one saw that. And I thought that, knowing full well I was the only one in the gym.
You know what? Kind of reminds me of a little story that happened to a good friend of mine, like a couple of weeks ago. He was at the gym. He was all loading plates onto
Yeah.
the leg press or
Yeah.
whatever, I forget which machine, but he grabbed one and it slipped out of his hand and fell right onto his toe, right? And
And we're not going to be talking like a 5 pound plate or
no,
something.
45. So
Oh,
it's a full plate, metal plate, right? So or steel, whatever. So he gets it, picks it up, puts it on, goes around to the other side of the machine to put it on his other, and he's also like the pain hits, eh?
yeah.
He's done. And turns
Gym
out,
session over.
yeah, he crushed his toe, which means he had multiple breaks through his whole toe,
Oh,
and it's just one of those freak things that you could,
yeah.
and now because he was at my other friend's gym who owns the gym, we were talking, the three of us were talking about this. So,
Yeah.
like, being the support group that we are, we went and found the video of it, of it
Yeah,
happening,
absolutely.
and we watched, and we watched him go through like 5 minutes of pure agony and like laughing the whole
Yeah.
time. Like, so it was one of those moments where he was like, because he could handle
Yeah.
that joking, right? But it was one of those moments where you could just see the pain he was in. And you're like, oh my goodness. But so something embarrassing, it can happen, right? And
Yeah.
stuff like I've gone to a machine where I couldn't lock it up, and I don't know why, and I had to crawl out of this thing, and I was
Yeah.
like, so things happen, you get embarrassed by, but
Yeah.
realize
I
most
made
of it's
I
more
made a
in your
rookie
head.
mistake, and this one I know better because I grew up with a bench press. I forgot to put the collars on,
Okay.
and I got up under this thing, and my left arm tilted a little bit, and the weight started to
Oh, no.
come up. I was like, no. At that point, I was laughing because I was like, that's a stupid rookie mistake. Oh, but yeah.
But I have a way we can turn this into a business thing for real estate, actually.
Yes.
So about getting this is hypocrisy or getting in your own head, getting in your own
Yes.
way, right?
Yes.
Is real estate agents now the new thing is to drop commission percentage.
Okay.
So
Is that to incentivize people to work with you, or
Right.
what is the reason that you would do that?
so well, okay, so I'll give you an example of something I kind of went through just recently, right?
Okay.
Is I was going in a listing appointment.
Yeah.
There's two other agents going in there.
Okay.
Those two agents offered a percentage less than what I do, right? Which percentage on this is a few $1,000s. Like it's not nothing, right? It's quite a bit. So I went in there offering, okay, I'll do it for this is my rate, this is why I am that way. I said, and they're like, oh, okay. Kind of, and I knew already I was the last one in there, and I knew already that the other agents were in there offering less. And I said, and I know, and I address it right away. It's like, you know what? I'm aware that
But you guys are offering your percentage points to the people buying the home.
to the sellers, right?
Oh, so
So they have to pay us. They're the ones paying us, right?
Gotcha.
So we're like, hey, here, you're listing your home with me. I'll give you real numbers. Okay, I do 5%, right? A lot like
split.
split, yeah, and then I split that to
Yeah.
two and a half,
So
two and a half, right?
You make 2.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I split it evenly. I don't. They're working hard to bring the buyer. I'm
Yeah.
split it, right?
100%.
So a lot of other agents do 4%, and the funny conversation I had a guy who's like, I know my worth. I do 4%. I'm like, okay, good for you. Like, and he was
do
proud of it.
5.
Yeah, I didn't say it. I just like
Yeah.
good for you, right? And encourage him. And so, but I go to this appointment knowing this percentage difference, and I'm like, man, I'm going to be tough because I don't know that I'm going to get this listing,
Yeah.
but I do know that the value I bring. So I went there. I said, like, here, this is what I know other agents are going to offer you this. This is why I'm worth it. This is why I'm worth it. Like, and show them, prove my value, right? And I left there, and I had no idea whether I got that listing or not,
Yeah.
right? So a week later, I get a call. Hey, we decided to go with you.
Even though you were
Even
double.
though, yeah, I'm going to cost them a couple $1,000s more, but they were willing to, and so why? They're like, well, one, we connected very well, right? Two, I came in there prepared, ready with a strategy, ready at what I'm going to do. I was ready for this, right?
Yeah.
And I laid it all out for them,
Yeah.
and I gave them enough value that they could take exactly what I said,
Yeah.
bring it to any other agent, and they could have got it done for 4%. But I gave them all that, and I walked away, right?
Yeah.
Now, so because I also like give value, Trust.
Yeah.
So how does this work in real estate, right? So I'll tie it back in. Agents have come up to me after like that. How do I do it for 4%? Or how do I do it? How did I get that? But they're at a percentage less. They thought they'd do that. I'm like, well, what? Know your value, right? You're in your own head. You don't think you're worth it.
Yeah, yeah.
But hold on, you are worth it. You are like, are you good?
You've already gone in deciding these people won't pay XYZ,
Yeah,
so you preemptively lower the price.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like, and then even there, going on listing appointments, how many times have I been like, oh man, do I cut my commission? Do I do this? Do I do like, just that are they going to care about it? One thing I learned is when I get out of my own head, I just be like, this is my percentage, this is why. Okay, any questions? No, okay, let's move on to the next objection, right? And handle objections and handle it that way versus, are we going to get hung up on this, right? And then
Yeah.
if we are, okay, why are we hung up on this? And let's deal with it. And then that we move on, right? And
So
most people respond to that better, though.
and to tie it back into hypocrisy here,
Yeah.
I think that agents, at least where we live, because I can't speak for anywhere else, but agents where we live put themselves out there in magazines, billboards, social media, all these things as value based. I'm the best. Rah rah. Go with me. I mean, you do it too. Like
Absolutely.
all the agents do it. But if that's how you're putting yourself out there, but then you're lowering your commission because you're hoping to win a deal, you're devaluing yourself. So you're a bit of a hypocrite on yourself in the value you bring to the table, right? That was really good.
Exactly. Well, but so now I can say that, but then I look at that and I know there's other agents who charge 6%. Yeah. But the other side of it, there's other agents who charge 3%, right? If that's what works
I'd
for
love to
them,
do the
fine.
math at the end of the year on the deals that you lost versus won. I bet you make more money, even though you might do quote unquote less deals, because
Oh, yeah.
you're willing to do value only.
Right. And even there, if you find you have value in yourself,
Mhm.
and that's where you can kind of fight a little bit of the hypocrisy, right? Is
Yeah.
if you find the value in yourself, I'm just kind of just
Yeah,
spewing this as I'm thinking it is then you're like, well, no, I'm actually worth this.
yeah,
I'm gonna show you why,
yeah.
and I hope you see that. If you don't see it, then I didn't do a good job of explaining why I'm more valuable.
Well, I think the cool thing is like your superpower is connecting with people,
Yes,
right? And so then you connect with them super well, and then you back it up with the work,
yes,
right? And I think that that's super important. And I think, again, it's just a good lesson for life. Learn to connect with people really well in your life, even if it's your significant other, your kids. Learn to connect really well, but then back it up with the work. How you showing up,
yeah,
right? How you showing up for them, yourself, your customers,
yeah. What are you doing?
excuse me, etc. I'm going to use that as a segue. Hypocrisy and your kids.
Mm.
So, I want to talk about the gym tonight because I don't want to be a hypocrite. And I want to be on here preaching, embrace the storms of life and do the hard things. But my immediate secondary thought after I had that for this week's episode was, what are y'all telling your kids? You tell your kids just some of the things that we got told growing up, and maybe what we've told our kids now. You can do anything you want to do. Don't eat so much junk food. Don't watch so much TV. Your eyes will get burnt out. Some of these things, right?
Yeah.
The TV will melt your brain would be another one. All these things. But then what are you doing? Are you hitting Netflix for 12 hours a day in the evenings?
Right.
Are you eating that junk food every evening? You're
Right.
hitting that ice cream,
Hitting that ice cream. Yeah, you bet.
right? Right?
Yep.
But you have to go back, guys, to get the joke on one of our last episodes. A little Easter egg for you.
Yeah.
But what are you telling your kids? And we've talked about it before, but caught, not taught.
Yeah.
So you going to the gym, putting that ice cream down?
Well, that's something where I know for myself the last while. Okay, so I've really been passionate about the gym.
Yeah.
And I've gone now for a while, and gym has been my issue, right? What has been though is what I eat and how I eat, right? And that's been a big struggle for me.
Yeah.
So now since beginning of April, we're May 17th or whatever, in the middle of May. So since in that time, I'm down like 45 pounds
They're
roughly.
looking good.
Yeah.
I
So
noticed in your video the other day.
it's coming off. It's coming off at a good rate, right?
Yeah.
But
Healthy.
healthy weight, right? But I'm still but I'm still at times having the snacks, the ice cream,
Yeah.
right? But it's all calculated in how I'm having it, right?
Yeah.
It's not just I'm gonna go, I want
Yeah,
ice
yeah.
cream.
We
I have
macro
my
you macroed into your
yeah,
day-to-day life.
yeah. I have my moments
Yeah.
where okay, I screwed up and I didn't care. I just went for it, and I'll regret it tomorrow. But that's a tomorrow problem, and so yeah, I have those weakness moments. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but it's also okay. You know what? We're gonna push through.
Yeah.
Overall, like which way am I going? Is it like it's not always
But
going to
that's
be
why
smooth sailing. It's going to be a little bit up and down, but it's going to be going down, right?
that's why macros are my favorite, like tracking,
Yep.
because I can have the ice cream. I shouldn't. Different story. But you can have the ice cream, you can have the chips, you can have the birthday cake, but it gets programmed in.
Yeah.
Or you can have the beer or whatever, but it gets programmed in. And you have to make that decision because you're still an adult. You have to make the decision.
Yep.
Am I willing to put this in there because then I don't get dinner? Or am I willing to put this in there because it pushes me way over?
Yep.
And you have to make that call. Like no one's gonna, punch you in the nose and go, "Hey, no."
Yeah.
Right. But I think my biggest passion around macros is you plug it into an app like MyFitnessPal, and you see that negative number,
Yeah.
and you're like, "Oh, maybe I won't have that extra plate of fries." You know.
Yeah. Well,
So I think that's a big deal.
that ties into our last episode where we talked about lying to yourself, right?
Mm.
Is are you going to be honest when you're doing this, or are you going to?
Yeah.
What are you teaching your kids, right? What are you doing with that? Are you telling them, "Oh, do this, but I'm going to do this"?
Yeah.
Different standard for me than for you, right? Because how are you doing this, right?
Yeah.
And so, what do you do with that?
Yeah. So we're not going to go into specifics, but before the podcast, we were talking about some work stuff.
Yeah.
And we tell our kids you can do anything you want in life, or you can be anything you want to be in life.
Yeah.
But then we're over here not doing whatever we want to do in life, or be whatever we want to be in life. Now, I was reminded today by a comic that, because of who I am and the way my hands shake a little bit and stuff like that, like, you probably don't want me with cerebral palsy doing heart surgery, but it doesn't mean I can't pursue other things that I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
And let's be real, in my opinion, I don't think God would be like, "Hey, you're super passionate about being a heart surgeon, but I also gave you shaky hands and cerebral palsy. Good luck."
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that's real.
Right.
But what is real is if you go to a job you hate every single day. Like if Jeremy gets up and goes to a job he hates every single day, but then you go over and you tell your boys, "Hey, you guys, you can do whatever you want. You want to be a businessman, you want to be a cop, you want to be a game tester, you can do it.
Yeah.
But you're not over here pursuing your dreams and passions."
Yeah, but that's the challenge, right? But now I also I'm gonna combat it a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't tell my kids that they could be anything they want
Sure.
because I
Sure.
think that's a lie too.
Sure.
They
To an
can
extent.
to an extent, right? But like you gave a great example. Like you can't be certain things.
Yep.
But inside of that, you can pursue goals. Like think about what you're actually passionate about. And then I challenge them. Okay, actually think about what you want to do. What do you want to be? Where do you want to go? And they're like, "Well, I don't know." Well, good. Let's pursue this, right? So how would you get to that goal if that's your goal? You're not necessarily going to want to be everything you want at this age because by the time you're 10 years older, what you wanted is totally different.
Well, and how many of us, and I'm just going to speak for me, I'm not going to speak for you.
Do it, yeah.
But I look back over my life, and I'm grateful for my life. I've gone through what I've gone through for a reason, and I am who I am because of it, of course. But there are definitely things when I look back, I'm like, I would have gone this way. I would have done this thing. I would have gone over here, right? But now I can't.
Yeah.
Because now it's 15 years later, and here we are kind of thing, right?
Yep.
But, and I'm just talking career now. I'm not
Totally.
talking anything else, but just career wise. But I've gone through what I've gone through. I've done what I've done, and because of that, I'm really good at a few things. You know.
Yeah.
And I think that for your kids, you give a great example of doubling down on their passions. You know, like my son is super into animals and biology of animals and all this stuff. So like his auntie got him a National Geographic magazine as a gift, you know, subscription
Yeah.
and all these things. And so I think that that's really good to double down on those things. And maybe it goes nowhere, but maybe it goes everywhere,
Yeah.
right? Like he's talked about being an archaeologist, a marine biologist. The kid is, you know, 9, 10 years old.
Right.
Like that could be something amazing in 15 years, or it could be nothing. But you got to feed into those passions, and I think I misspoke slightly before. Like you can't just quit your job because you want to be an underwater basket weaver as a man because you've got kids and you're married and you've got all these things going on, and you can't just up and leave your responsibilities.
Yeah.
That's stupid. Your job is to provide and take care of your house.
That's your number one. Yeah.
Right? Your people. That's your responsibility. Doesn't mean that you don't have evenings. Doesn't mean you don't have weekends. You could put down Netflix a little bit. You could put golf out a little bit if that's your thing, or Sunday football, or whatever your thing is.
Right. Yeah.
And you can devote a little bit of time to your passion. And maybe it's not career related, but you should still pursue something you're passionate about.
Yeah.
I think I've just watched so many men like give up. They're like, I work this 9 to 5 because it provides for my family, and I'm gonna do this, and then on the weekends I'm gonna just golf and hang with the family, and they forget that they were passionate about wrenching on cars or passionate about woodworking or whatever, and they just don't do anything with it anymore.
Yeah.
I think it's a huge miss, right? But then you go and tell your kids, hey, pursue what you're passionate about. You can do anything.
Yeah. I agree with that. I think there's a lot of guys who just give up and do that, right? And just not pursue their actual passions in life. They just do the 9 to 5. But like you said, you can, while you're doing your 9 to 5, and you're thinking, how do I pursue my passion?
Yeah.
You make a plan and you figure out how that looks. What can you do?
Yeah.
In after you're from 5 to 9, right?
Yeah. I heard a great story on that. Sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
But I don't want to miss this thought. I heard a great story of that from a friend of mine. He had a friend who his wife, I think it was his wife, forced him, you do 15 minutes a day. 15 minutes a day on the thing, whatever the thing is, right? I forget what it was for him.
Right.
15 minutes. Well, eventually 15 minutes became a little bit longer and a little bit longer, and now he's wanting to do it all the time.
Yeah.
So the point is you don't have to spend hours on this thing, especially if you haven't done it in years or you're not sure you want to do it. Maybe it's a new thing. Spend 15 minutes a day. Heck, 15 minutes twice a week.
Start with something small and work from there, right? Like if you're a mechanic, if you're a builder, like if you want to build something, build a shed. Like you don't have to build a house, you build a shed. Like, you know what I mean? Like whatever it is, whatever your passion is, start with something small. Like I tried my hand at woodworking. I found out I'm not good at it. I don't have that attention to detail. Like
you would be both.
Like some people are just so meticulous. It's so perfect, right?
Yeah.
I don't have that ability. I have the concepts. I have the whatever, the wherewithal how to do it.
Your hands just don't want to do it.
My hands don't want to do it. My brain just doesn't care for it. Like to do that, I could build a bench that will hold like 3 cars, but
it's not gonna be pretty.
It won't be pretty, right? Like so, it'll be solid. Like this is something I built right here, right?
Yeah.
This table.
It's man pretty.
It's man pretty. That's about the best you're gonna call it, right?
Yeah.
It works. It's solid. I mean, you could jump up and down on this thing.
I was gonna say every week we record, I bang on it pretty good. So
yeah, well,
it holds up.
Yeah,
it's not an IKEA, glue together kind of
Yeah.
deal.
But having said that, okay, so I realized that's not for me, and that's okay. So what is? So cool. Well, the next thing, right? What about this? Well, you know what? I tried my hand at golf this last year, mainly because, well, I thought I'd try something different. I'm a real estate agent. We're supposed to
Businessy
do,
things.
yeah. So, but actually, I found that's something I enjoy doing. Me and my son started doing together. So that's something that's there. That's for us to do, right? So that's awesome. Now that's
Yeah.
more intriguing for me for that, right?
Yeah.
Joined boxing like a month and a half ago,
Which is a passion you never thought you'd like.
which is a passion, and I'm not intending on ever getting in a ring and fighting somebody,
Yeah.
but just to go do something, sweat for an hour, and just like punch something,
Yeah.
how much aggression and whatnot that lets out,
Yeah.
and like exhausted beyond belief.
I was
when
gonna say
done.
do hard things, right?
Yeah, and like this week was one of those weeks where, um, it was Thursday, and I was like, I don't want to go. There's not a and they asked, "Are you going to go today?" I'm like, we were supposed to leave in like 10 minutes. Like, I don't think I'm going to go today. Like, okay, I just got to run uptown. I'll be right back, and then we're going to head out. I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. By the time they got back, I was all ready to go. I'm like, oh, I'm going to go because
And I bet you it was amazing.
no, it was miserable, but still, I did it anyway. Like,
I love that.
yeah,
Pure honesty.
It was. I came back and like, do you feel better? I'm like, no, I don't. I'm tired. I want to go to bed. I want to be crabby, but I can't go to bed yet because I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to do, and I'm trying to commit myself to reading now before bed. So
Yeah.
like, okay, and then I really got into the book and I read way more than I wanted to, and then it was like, oh,
Way later than you wanted
way
to.
later
Yeah.
than I wanted to, and it's like, oh, God, there we go, another thing.
You know what? I think in those moments where we push ourselves is important though.
Yeah,
Like I always tell people, I think we've talked about it before, even on here, like I don't like working out.
yeah,
I love how I feel from working out.
yeah,
Whether I do it at the gym, do it at home, doesn't matter. Like it's
Yeah.
just working out sucks.
yeah,
I love how I feel after that.
yeah,
Like leaving sweat dripping feels amazing.
yeah.
The work to get there though, unbelievable. Unbelievable. So before we move on to our next thing, because I just had a thought here, I want to tie this back in. So the next time you're telling your kids something, pay attention to the words you use.
Yeah.
And more importantly, pay attention to what you are doing, more importantly, not doing, that you're telling them to do.
Pay attention to the words you tell yourself as well.
Yeah.
That's where the hypocrisy comes right back in, right?
100%. So I want to talk about, and this ties into hypocrisy, I want to talk about that little negative voice inside of our head.
Yeah.
The little B voice, if you will.
Yeah.
So what I've noticed since I started going to the gym is how quickly that voice enters my head. It goes, no one's here, no one's looking. You could just say you did the thing without doing the thing. You did 2 reps, you could say you did 10. You could just
cheat.
Just cheat.
Yeah.
Right? Just stop. Mine just says, you can just stop now. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm like 5 minutes into a 20-minute deal. You know? And don't get me wrong, I want to stop.
Yeah.
But what's amazing to me is how quickly that voice pops in.
Totally.
And I think there's something about doing physical work that you hear that voice very clearly. Like at the office, the voice kicks in too, I think.
Absolutely.
But then you find yourself mindlessly doing something else. Right?
Yeah.
But in the gym, it's just you and the work.
It's you, your headphones, and
Yeah.
whatever your
Also,
weight is putting.
heaven forbid I forget my headphones. I'd have to listen to the terrible music they play at the gym.
Oh, they don't have music playing, so it's dead silence.
Oh, no.
Or other people breathing, which is,
Or me breathing.
yeah, no, that's the worst, right? Like, oh, I sound like that. Oh,
I
where's
have
my
yet to
headphones?
forget my headphones.
Okay.
I will not, though. That is a terrible, terrible thing
Yeah.
to think about. But I think it is crazy how quickly that voice kicks in.
Absolutely.
And I think that in today's world, it's very easy where I could let that voice win, and it's okay. Because I wasn't feeling it today.
Yeah.
But then I'm also not feeling it tomorrow. And then I'm not even getting out of bed. Like, and you hear the sauce in my voice here, guys, because that's garbage.
Yeah.
Like, if you ever want to get anywhere in life, I firmly believe you got to push through it, that voice, and do the work anyway. And again, how good I feel when I put in that full 20 minutes and I'm sweating everywhere and I'm done.
Yeah.
Not only because I sweat myself off and did the work, because mentally I did the work.
Yeah. The challenge of that. Yeah, that's exactly it, right? Is that thought of, okay, I did this, I pushed through, and now
It's
I've
a win.
arrived. It's a win. Yeah, stacking that win, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like if you do 4 sets of 15 and you stop at 10, is that a win? No.
No.
Do you have to walk and do the last 5? Maybe.
Yeah.
But you did them.
Yeah. Well, something I always tell myself is if I'm happy with what I've always done, then give up now. If I'm happy with where I've gotten till now, then okay, fine, give up. If I want things to change, push through it, suck it up, and
It's not as hard at the end either.
no.
Like,
No.
I'll give you an example. So, at the gym I go to, there's a tire flip. I don't know if your gym has this, but it's not a full tire. It's half a tire, but it's weighted.
Yeah.
And just you flip it back and forth.
Okay.
On like a piece of steel.
Okay.
I'll have to show it to you. It's like a piece of equipment.
Right.
But this tire you can put, the tire itself is 100 pounds. Then you can put plates on it for another 40 pounds if you want.
Oh, interesting.
I took the plates off. Like, I couldn't use the plates. It was too heavy. I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
Flipping this tire, my goal was 4 by 15. So 4 sets of 15. So I flipped this tire 3 times. Dude, my voice in my head was like, dude, this thing's heavy. You can barely pick this thing up. And once I pushed through that, you know how much lighter that tire got?
Yeah.
Once I pushed through that voice. And that was only on the first set.
Yeah.
So, like, I did that first set and I went off and did a different exercise because I wasn't going to come back.
Yeah.
I was just going to give up and call it a day. But then I was like, no, we'll push through. I went back and did those other 3 sets.
Yeah.
Do you know how much lighter that tire got? Because I decided to push through.
Push through. Yeah.
The tire itself, physically, obviously, you guys know, it didn't get lighter. But my brain just shut up and I did the work.
Yeah. Well, even there, like I doing a bench press, right? And one of those things where I was like, I started off building up. And this one workout, I was just like, I'm just going to go push and see where I get to, right?
Yep.
And I push. And for whatever reason, I went all the way up, hit 300.
Yeah.
And then I went, okay, so I went 135, 225.
Yeah.
And I did that, and that was like, feeling it. Went up to 275. I'm like, oh, now I'm really feeling it, right? And I got like two or three. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, I'm gonna go for it, right? And I went to 305, and I just pushed it, right? And I did it. I got 2, and I was like, oh,
Deadlifts.
nope, bench press.
Oh, bench press. Okay,
So
okay.
took off went down, went to 275, and I did 6, and then I went down then I went to 225.
Like drop sets.
Yeah, I just went all the way up, and all I did, my breaks were literally get up, take the plates off, take a sip of water, whatever, kind of do a little 2-second stretch, back in there and do it, right? Then I went to 225, which I was like struggling with before. I think I did like 10.
Because you proved to yourself you could do 305.
But yeah, I went all the way up. Then I went to 135, and I finished it off with I think 25 or 30. I just went to go push, and then with the bar, I just went to 50 or whatever. Just to finish anything left, right? But when I pushed through that barrier, where I thought this is going to be rough, I don't know if I could make this.
Yeah.
And then I hit 305, and I did twice. Like, then I was like, wow, now okay, sweet. Now let's take it off. And once you start taking off, what I thought was tough before, I was like,
nothing.
oh, I could just breeze through this. Not breeze, but like it was, I pushed, right? But it was so much easier than I thought. But often we get stuck in our heads that, oh, this is going to be the hardest thing ever until we do it. And then it's like, oh, actually, that wasn't as bad as I thought. So let's go to the next thing. Oh, wait, that's all right too.
And I think that's the muscle we've been talking about in this episode. It's like,
Yeah.
you do a hard, you're like, oh, it's not that hard. You do another hard, you're like, oh, that's not hard. You start stacking those wins, you start stacking those, oh, I did a hard thing.
Yeah.
Right? And that's why, guys, I know some of you might not be like gym people. It's okay. But I think the gym is a great example of this. doing hard things and realizing exactly what you realized in that moment of, oh, 225 isn't that big a deal.
Yeah.
Now, if you've never been to the gym, don't go try and do 225 because you'll crush yourself. Jeremy's been going to the gym for a while.
Yeah, it's not nothing for weight wise, right? Like it's
Start with the bar and go up from there.
right.
Don't
Yeah,
hurt yourself. We're not doctors, lawyers, or accountants. This is not medical, legal advice of any kind.
yeah. No, definitely not. Like, don't start where you're comfortable and build up.
We won't talk about my numbers next to yours.
Well, I have fewer years experience, and
Yeah.
so
again, being a bigger dude,
yeah,
that mass matters.
it absolutely does,
For
right?
stuff like that, like where you're going to start and finish. And
Yeah.
not to say I couldn't get there, but like it's going to be a whole lot harder for me.
Yeah, right. Yeah, totally.
But I think that that's a big deal when you talk about being a hypocrite to yourself. I could never lift 305. Couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Till you did.
Till I did, yeah.
Right? And so I think you were talking about not being a hypocrite to yourself, and I think that's a beautiful insight of don't tell yourself you can't do something, or don't tell other people they can do it, then you just don't.
Don't tell other people that, oh, you're worth it, you're valuable.
And then tell
tell
yourself
yourself-
something else.
To tell yourself that, man,
100%.
you suck, or you're no
100%.
good at this, right? Or maybe it's just a skill you haven't learned yet. Maybe it's just that,
It's just a skill you haven't learned yet.
and so there you go.
But
Gotta give you something to write down now that you have your notebook again.
yeah, I forgot it last time, and I felt very out of sorts. But I think the interesting thing about that line is just something you haven't learned yet. I'm just going to write it down real quick in my chicken scratch writing.
As long as you can read it.
The interesting thing, sometimes, the interesting thing is there were things you never did before, and now you do. As a
Yeah.
baby, you didn't know how to walk, and you did it.
Yeah.
Right? You got your first job, you didn't have a job before that. You did that.
Yeah.
Right? You never had kids before, but you did that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think if you look back on your life, you can prove to yourself you can do hard things, and you've done things before you didn't do before. So why can't you do it now?
Yeah.
And again, I think too many men get stuck in this mediocre, laissez-faire sort of existence where they get up, they go to work, they come home, play Netflix, hang with the family, and go to bed.
Yeah.
Right? Now, some of those guys, super present dads, super present husbands, good people, but they've essentially, if you were to really dig into it, they've given up.
They checked it out themselves.
That's what I mean. Yeah, that's a better way of putting it. Like they're there for their family, like their spouse and their kids.
They show up.
They show up for them. They show up in their 9 to 5, but deep down they know that they're just checking boxes.
Yeah.
And what this episode is about, what's supposed to push you towards, stop that crap. Push for a little bit more. Whether it's trying out the gym, whether it's 15 minutes on a hobby, whether it's like, why don't you go hit around a golf balls at a local driving range?
Join a softball league. Like little things like
do
this.
something.
Meet other men, other guys
Yeah.
that you don't even necessarily have to have a whole big thing together with them.
Yeah.
But sometimes just joining other guys and just having good conversations, not just complaining about this or that, or
Get out of your comfort zone.
yeah, but join actually a group that positive people, the people that actually, hey, these people are actually heading the same direction as me. I want to be part of something better than what I'm a part of. How do you grow? How do you get into that? Right.
I think you become very morose and apathetic if you just continue on the path a lot of men are on, of getting up and checking boxes. I think you'll end up at the end of your life regretting you didn't do more.
Yeah.
And again, we're not talking about becoming a $1 billion CEO or going to Paris and, sailing around the world or something. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up. But maybe for some of you, that's exactly what we're calling you to do, is something amazing and great that the whole world's going to know about. For some of you, though, it's just getting out there and doing a little bit more with more people.
Yeah.
You know, I saw this, I'm going to butcher it, but I saw this cool little reel today of Red Foreman and Kitty Foreman. And Red was telling Kitty, I actually sent it to my wife because thought it was kind of funny, but Red said this comment. He's like, you know, they had hosted a party at their house. And Red was saying, you know, Kitty, I realized I was wrong. And he was talking about the party. He's like, life's too short to spend it with people I don't like. I want to spend it with you, and no, just mostly you.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us, we feel that. Like, we just want to hang out with our wife and kids because we love them, and our wife is our best friend, and
Yeah.
all these things, right? And I think that we forget that having relationships with other men is super important.
Yeah.
You don't have to go and join a softball team necessarily. If you want to, you should. But that's a lot of commitment.
Just throw it in.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? But, like, do something. Go for a coffee. Go for a beer with another dude. And, like, just hang out. You know? Because I think that what we forget as men today is women aren't men. Men aren't women.
Yeah.
And men need other men.
Absolutely.
And so to start unhypocrisizing yourself, if that's going to be a word, it's not.
No.
I'm making it up. But if you're gonna start doing better, you have to start doing different things. You have to change. You have to move that 1 degree we always talk about.
Make that small choice.
Yeah. And maybe that's grabbing that beer after work. Maybe that's grabbing that coffee one evening a week. Heck, maybe that's starting a podcast.
Maybe that's what it is.
Whatever, but do something. And so, as we kind of come to an end on the show here today, it's a bit of a shorter one.
Yeah.
I want you guys to watch, like Jeremy said, how you talk to yourself. What are you saying to yourself that's hypocritical? What are you saying to those around you that's hypocritical? What are you saying to your wife and kids that's hypocritical? And start changing. So if you say something to those around you or to yourself, change it.
I'm gonna jump in here quickly.
Absolutely.
Is also go back to the last episode and really listen to it and evaluate what lies are you telling yourself,
Yes.
right?
Good
And
call.
maybe you don't even know what you're saying.
And we call a bunch of them out, so it'll give you a good place to start for sure.
It might be a good place to start exactly with, like, man, like, okay, I'm calling myself out. I keep saying this and I keep doing that, but wow, I didn't realize how bad it was, right? And actually make a list. And one thing,
Your notebook doesn't need to be fancy like mine, guys.
No.
But write some stuff down.
it could literally be as simple as your
Yeah.
phone.
You write most of your stuff down on your phone.
No, I don't. I hate doing. I don't take notes on my phone. I have pen and paper.
Do you?
Oh,
I thought you took most of them on your phone. Interesting.
No. Right.
But the point is, guys, is that you can start writing some of this stuff down on the last episode. Start writing down where you're lying to yourself. That'll lead into where you're being a hypocrite. And you can start checking some of these off and going, I'm going to do this different. I'm going to say this different. Because some of it's not necessarily bad.
Right.
We just have to reframe how we're talking about certain things. So with that, guys, we love you. Be great. We'll catch you next time.